Okay, so wow. Holy crap, Golden Sun. This book was incredible. So, Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. This is book 2 of the Red Rising Trilogy. And holy crap, did this exceed my expectations for what a sequel could be from Red Rising. As I said in my Red Rising review, I had heard a lot of fantastic things about the follow-up to that book, and after reading this, it was even better than everything that I heard about it. I had been hearing that Golden Sun was fantastic, Morningstar was great as well, that they build the scope, the characters, the stakes, everything. And in this book, Pierce Brown really knocked it out of the park. From page 1 of this book, I was locked in. I just finished this book in 3 days, which is how into this book I was. I genuinely love it. I could not put it down for a second. Darrow grows so much in this book. Sevro grows so much in this. Honestly, every character in this book grows so much from their base of the first book. It's hard to put into words how good this book is. This really answered all my criticisms of book 1. There's absolutely no comparison of this book to any YA stuff or Hunger Games or any of that crap. This really dives back in hard to the sci-fi. There are space battles, there are multiple planets involved, the scale of this book, the world building, the galaxy building is just absolutely incredible. Okay, so basic plot point settings. This takes place several months after the ending of book 1, and immediately you jump into giant space battle. Darrow and the Jackal and everybody else from the Academy is basically in another sort of tournament game-ish scenario, but in space. They are battling spaceships. There are tons of casualties. I mean, these trainings that these people go through in this world are absolutely insane, because the scale of casualties that they suffer is just beyond any kind of school or academy I certainly ever went to. Off the bat, like I said, immediately back into the sci-fi. Nothing Earth-like about this book at all. My major complaint about book 1 was I didn't actually feel like it was on Mars for a lot of it, and this book immediately answered all those criticisms. Obviously, there may be some spoiler-ish things that I say about book 1 of Red Rising, so if you have not read that, don't watch this review because I might ruin some things for you, but I'm going to try my best not to spoil too much of it. But obviously, where that book left off leading into this book, this is a few months, years, I don't remember the exact timeline, into the future. Darrow is still training. He's still basically, after accepting Augustus's hand into his family, kind of, sort of, becoming his champion. That's where this book takes place and builds off of. So Darrow is still continuing on his quest with the Sons of Ares to bring down the gold and really help the Reds rise, as in Red Rising, you know, the title of the trilogy. So his entire goal is to get to a point where there is no more caste system, and naturally, because of that, he suffers a lot in this book. Now, book 1, he didn't really take too many losses, and that was one of my biggest criticisms as well. Outside of losing to Cassius in the battle and then being saved by Mustang, he didn't really lose ever. And that is absolutely not true in this book. I mean, right from the jump and multiple times through this book, he has some lessons that he needs to learn. He gets taught a few things about how the world really works, who you can trust, who you can't trust, which really leads into the twists and the turns of this plot and this story, which I mean, I'm along for the ride. I'm not one of those readers that stops every few pages and really tries to critique and break down what I'm reading and think, okay, how could this happen? How could that happen? If something's obvious, I'm going to figure it out. But a lot of the twists and turns in this, up until when they happened, I didn't really see it coming. And when it came, it hit hard. Now, since these are spoiler-free reviews, I don't want to spoil anything for Golden Sun specifically, so I'm going to keep it relatively vague on plot points, character arcs, things like that. But as I said earlier, the characters grow so much in this story. We meet a lot of awesome new ones as well. Ragnar is by far one of the most interesting characters that we meet in this book. He's an obsidian. I'm not going to say too much more about him, but you learn more about obsidians as a color, you know, where they're placed in society, what their purpose is, and Ragnar is incredibly interesting. Darrow, Mustang, absolutely incredible in this book. Sevro continues to be the favorite. He's just that little asshole behind Darrow, just kind of talking crap to everybody. He's always the kind of guy that's in the background of a fight, like, can I kill him? And Darrow's like, no, Sevro, don't. He's just like, I think I want to, though. Like, he's just that kind of guy. Every time the Howlers are in a fight in this book, which is like Darrow's crew, just like howling into their helmets, you know, striking fear in whoever they're battling, it's so much fun. We meet a few others, like Victra, who is another female character in this book that you start to learn a little bit about who her family is, what kind of person she is. Augustus' son, the Jackal, plays a major role in this book. And I mean, after learning what the kind of crap that he was doing in book 1, like, this guy's just a garbage person. His character is still so interesting, though, because it's like, holy crap, this guy's actually insane. Like, he might not have a soul. Like, this dude is nuts. Now, typically, when you get to a book 2 of a trilogy, it's usually the kind of middle child of the trilogy. It's usually a little bit slower, not a lot happens. It's really just build up for book 3. Not here. There's so much going on in this book, and just the character growth, the way that the plot turns out, the twists, the turns, I can't say enough good things about it. The politicking in this book grows a lot. You have all these different families, all these, you know, noble gold families that all want to rule. And because Darrow's main plot, obviously, with the Sons of Ares and the Reds, is to kind of cause infighting between the golds, that is at center focus of this story. And you meet a lot of other characters from, like, the society, which is the actual ruling class. The sovereign herself is a big role in this book. I can't get into specifics there, but it's fantastic what happens with her involvement, and just the way that where the story goes, I was not expecting. And I don't know how many people could actually guess exactly where this is going. You could think, oh, you know, Darrow's just going to overthrow the golds, everything's going to be la-di-da happy. No, this really makes you think. And there's so many times in this book where you're just like, oh, well, this is going to happen. And then that happens. Or this guy's going to betray that guy. And then that does happen, but then actually this guy's that guy, and that guy betrayed him. And there's so many things that happen in this book that just blew my mind. And every time that you read one of those, it just keeps you itching for more. Now, sometimes it's pretty hard for me to get emotionally attached to most characters in books, simply because they're not written that well or they're not very interesting. But I can honestly say that at least the main cast of this book, and the villains, and honestly even some of the side characters, most of the side characters, I was very attached to. And you definitely lose some people in this book, and most of them hit me pretty hard. It wasn't like, it's not like, okay, so let's take, was it season 7 of Game of Thrones, when they go beyond the wall and do all that stupid shit? It's not where you have like a group of 8 main characters surrounded by walkers, zombies, whatever they were, and every time one of them's about to die, they don't. And then all the people that do die are random red shirt, nameless characters that weren't even part of the scene. And then suddenly when zombies get somebody, it's just some random guy. Like, none of that crap happens here. People that you follow through these books, that you love, that you learn to care about, do not make it, and that hurts. Now, another thing that's pretty rare in a lot of, I'm gonna say fantasy, because I mean, while this is sci-fi, this reminds me a lot of fantasy, and I think it's a good blend of those two genres. So I'm gonna call it sci-fantasy. I'm sure that's a thing. Sevro and Darrow's friendship. Sevro is like the most loyal dog or buddy you could possibly ask for, and their interactions in this book are hilarious. Sevro is always good for a laugh, and it's not obnoxious like Wayne from Era 2 Mistborn, just, hey, I'm here to crack a joke, I'm annoying. Sevro has a lot more character depth than that, and he's hilarious. And his and Darrow's friendship really blossoms in this story, and you see how close they are. And it's pretty tough for me to care about a friendship story unless it's done very well, and Pierce Brown knocked that out of the park. Along with the politics that are centerfold of this book, the combat is out of this world. I'm just laughing at my own terrible joke, I'm sorry. The scale of the combat, the stakes, what these characters go through in these life or death situations is fantastic. It's so well written. The technology in this story, in this world, is awesome. You know, a pulse shield or an energy shield and their razors. It's a super cool blend of, okay, this is a high-tech, super advanced society. We have spaceships, we have guns, but we also use swords and shields, and I love that. Which definitely made all of these battles super intense. Edge of my seat, reading this kind of action, not knowing who's gonna live, who's gonna die. As soon as things start to go pretty well for, you know, a certain character, you can't help but that itch in the back of your mind is like, something's gonna happen. And I feel that all the time, reading books, watching movies. Anytime there's like something's going really well for a main character or a character that you like, I'm like, okay, something has to happen, right? Like, it can't just go this well. And then something happens, and it's just like, nah. All in all, though, guys, I mean, this book is a 5 out of 5 for me. That's what I rated it on Goodreads. I can't say enough good things about this book. It was fantastic. I've already started on Morning Star. The second I finished Golden Sun, I immediately started reading Morning Star, because the way that this book ends was just like, there's good cliffhangers and there's bad cliffhangers. The way that Golden Sun ended, like, I couldn't imagine having read this when it came out and having to wait a year plus for the third book. I would have lost my mind. Luckily, I have Morningstar right next to me, and I'm already reading it because, whew, I mean, I needed to just immediately follow up with the story, because the way it ends is just like, oh, I want to talk about it, but I'm not going to. Read the book. It's great. But that's going to do it for me. I love this book. Like I said, it's fantastic. I hope you all enjoyed it too. If you like this video, you like these reviews, you like my channel, please let me know. Leave a like down below. Leave a comment too. I'd love to have a conversation. Subscribe if you want some more of this content. And I'll catch you guys next time. Keep reading.